Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Philadelphia City Council's Committee on Streets and Services. I note that the hour has come. Mr. Pullen, please call the roll.
Councilmember Ahmad.
Present.
Councilmember Bass. Councilmember Brooks.
Present.
Councilmember Harity. Vice Chair Squilla.
Present.
Chair Young.
Present. Thank you, Mr. Pullen. I note that a quorum of this committee is present. This is a public hearing of the Committee on Streets and Services considering testimony on bills number 240873, 250830, 250835, and 250877. Before we begin, do any of my colleagues have any opening remarks? Seeing none, Mr. Pullen, would you please read the title of the first bill?
Bill number 240873, titled Establishing Parking Regulations in the Vicinity of North 2nd Street between Roosevelt Boulevard and Ashdale Street, Champlain Street between North 3rd Street and North 4th Street, North 6th Street between Grange Avenue and Chew Avenue, Fairhill Street between Grange Avenue and Chew Avenue.
Thank you. Mr. Pullen, would you please call the first witness to testify on this bill?
The first witness to testify is Lester Emerson, Deputy Parking Manager for the Philadelphia Parking Authority.
Good afternoon, Mr. Emerson. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
How you doing? Good day, Council. My name is Lester Emerson, Deputy Manager for the Philadelphia Parking Authority. Thank you for allowing me to testify before Council regarding Ordinance 240873, introduced by Councilman Phillips, establishing parking regulations. The Philadelphia Parking Authority has no objection to the ordinance previously read before Council and recommends favorable consideration. Thank you again for your time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Emerson. Just for the record, when these new parking regulations are established, does PPA then expand their zones to enforce these particular regulations?
Yes, they do. Basically, once the signs go up, the blocks are actually steered clear first, where we'll flyer the block for every vehicle and the areas around it. As far as the actual boundaries are concerned, we have to go back to Council, and it's actually their recommendation.
Thank you. Are there any other questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to testify on bill number 240873? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Pullen. Please read the title of the next bill.
Bill number 250830, titled Authorizing Encroachments in the Nature of a Sidewalk Cafe in the Vicinity of 5015 Baltimore Avenue, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19134, under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Pullen. Please call the first witness to testify on this bill.
First witness is testifier Noel Marconi, Legislative Affairs Director for the Department of Streets, and Sarah Chu, Development Director for the City Planning Commission.
Good morning, good afternoon, rather, Mr. Marconi. Please state your name for the record and begin with your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Young and members of the Streets and Services Committee. My name is Noel Marconi, and I'm the Director of Legislative Affairs for the Department of Streets. I'm here today to offer testimony on bill number 250830, introduced by Councilmember Gauthier. This bill authorizes Milan Marvelous, the owner, to install, own, and maintain encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe at Dodo Bagels, located at 5015 Baltimore Avenue. A total of 4 tables and 14 seats for a sidewalk cafe will be located along the north sidewalk of Baltimore Avenue, along the property line and curb line of 5015 Baltimore Avenue. 3 tables and 12 seats will be located adjacent to the curb line, and 1 table and 2 seats will be located adjacent to the building. The Department of Streets is not opposed to this proposed encroachment, as 9 feet of clear unobstructed footway will be maintained. This concludes my testimony. Please answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Marconi. Ms. Chu, please state your name for the record. Begin with your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chairmember Young and members of Committee on Streets and Services. I'm Sarah Chu, City Planner Manager with the Philadelphia City Planning Commission. I'm here to testify on bill number 250830, introduced by Councilmember Gauthier on October 9th, 2025. This bill will allow a sidewalk cafe at 15 Baltimore Avenue. A minimum of 9 feet of clear sidewalk space is to remain after the installation. This meets the minimum required dimensions of this complete street policy of the Philadelphia Code. The Planning Commission at its meeting on October 16, 2025, recommended a bill number 250830 for approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Are there any questions of these witnesses on this bill? Seeing none, Mr. Pullen, would you please read the title of the next bill?
Bill number 250835, titled Authorizing Encroachments in the Nature of a Sidewalk Cafe in the vicinity of 1526-232 North American Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19122, under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. Please call the witnesses.
Noel Marconi, Legislative Affairs Director for the Department of Seats, and Sarah Chu, Development Director for the City Planning Commission.
Again, please state your name for the record. Begin with your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Young and members of the Streets and Services Committee. My name is Noel Marconi, and I'm the Director of Legislative Affairs for the Department of Streets. I'm here today to offer testimony on Bill number 250835, introduced by Councilmember Lozada. This bill authorizes Funk Brothers LLC, the owner, to install and maintain encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe at Westic and Brewing Company located at 1526-32 North American Street. A total of 7 picnic tables for a sidewalk cafe will be located along the west sidewalk of North American Street along the property line of 1526-32 North American Street. The Department of Streets is not opposed to this proposed encroachment, as 9 feet of clear unobstructed footway will be maintained. This concludes my testimony. Please answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Ms. Chu, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chairmember Young and members of the Committee on Streets and Services. I'm Sarah Chu, City Planner Manager with the Philadelphia City Planning Commission. I'm here to testify on Bill number 250835, introduced by Councilmember Lozada on October 9, 2025. This bill will allow a sidewalk cafe at 1526-32 North American Street. A minimum of 9 feet of clear sidewalk spaces to remain after the installation. This meets the minimum required dimensions of the complete street policy of the Philadelphia Code. The City Planning Commission at its meeting on October 16, 2025, recommended bill number 250835 for approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions of these witnesses on this bill? Seeing none, is there anyone else present wishing to testify on bill number 250835? Seeing none, thank you all for your testimony. Mr. Pullen, would you please read the title of the chair would like to recognize the presence of Councilmember Harity. Mr. Pullen, would you please read the title of the next bill to be heard?
Bill number 250887, titled Authorizing the City of Philadelphia to construct, own, and maintain right-of-way encroachments in various parts of the city under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Pullen. Would you please call the witnesses to testify on this bill?
The first witnesses to testify are Karen Fegley, Acting Director for the Department of Commerce, and Richard Montanez, Deputy Director for the Department of Streets.
Good afternoon. Please state your name for the record and begin with your testimony.
Good afternoon. Karen Fegley, Acting Commerce Director. Nice to see you all, Chairman Young and members of Streets and Services Committee. I'm here to testify in support of Bill number 250887, which authorizes the city to install various encroachments in the public right-of-way for the purpose of neighborhood beautification in 2026 and beyond. Ring It On, One Philly, a United Celebration is a sweeping initiative that puts the city's neighborhoods at the forefront of America's 250th anniversary and celebrations. These investments focus on 3 key pillars: activations, beautifications, and celebrations, and they aim to boost civic pride, strengthen our neighborhood economies, and create a lasting impact well beyond 2026. So the purpose of this legislation and the upcoming beautification encroachments is to ensure neighborhoods in each council district benefit from 2026 investments. Commerce, through approved city council funding, has allocated $3.5 million for 2026 corridor beautification throughout the city. Our partner, the Philadelphia Visitor Center, hired landscape architect Ground Reconsidered, and they conducted landscape assessments on all 20 of the corridors. These assessments provide recommendations for the type and the placement of targeted enhancements and encroachments. These encroachments will include custom benches, bike racks, planters, and decorative banners. The city must pass the encroachment legislation, as well as we need to purchase these materials by the end of 2025, calendar year 2025, so that we can have everything installed in early 2026. Commerce partners with 2026 Director Mike Numis, the Streets Department, Clean and Green, Philadelphia Visitor Center, and Visit Philly on this effort. We have bi-weekly meetings that have been having and will continue to have. We also want to thank City Council and our community partners for their ongoing engagement and support. We're really proud and excited to bring Ring It On investments to our neighborhoods across the city. This complements, as you know, a commercial corridor strategy that Commerce has maintained for many, many years. And thank you for the opportunity to testify. I am happy to answer any questions about this.
Thank you so much. Mr. Montanez, please state your name and give us your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chairman Young and members of the Streets and Services Committee. My name is Richard Montanez. I'm the first Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Streets. I'm here to offer testimony on Bill number 250887, introduced by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson on behalf of Council President Johnson. This bill authorizes the city to install and maintain encroachments in the public right-of-way in various locations in commercial corridors throughout the city by way of Streets Department regulation. These encroachments include, but are not limited to, benches, planters, banners, lighting, and decorative fixtures. These encroachments will support Philadelphia's Ring It On as we commemorate America's 250th anniversary celebration and the other events that will be celebrated throughout 2026. These encroachments will enhance beautification, civic pride, and strengthen neighborhood economics well past 2026. The regulation developed by the Streets Department will incorporate the existing laws of the city as related to encroachments and will implement the regulations as the Department of License, the Law Department, and the Art Commission deem necessary to protect the interests of the city. Any encroachments installed on private property will require the authorization of the property owner. The Streets Department will work with the Commerce Department to purchase these encroachment items by the end of 2025 for them to be installed in the spring of 2026. The Department of Streets supports this legislation and asks for your support. This concludes my testimony. I am pleased to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Brooks.
Just wondering where the 20 corridors?
So there is a list of 20 corridors. I believe it is an appendix to the bill. Is that something you have? So there are 2 in every council district. These were selected earlier this year in coordination with, so they,
Okay.
if you,
All right.
it looks like you don't have them, right?
No,
Okay.
that's why I wouldn't have asked if I saw it.
Good. I give you that credit. I kind of figured. So, but I would like to explain this a little bit and go on record because I know there's still some conversations happening. So earlier this year in the spring, I think, we worked with, between, the mayor's office and every district council person, to select corridors with the idea that we were going to pick 2 corridors to target for these investments in every council district. Again, I want to emphasize, it doesn't mean we continue corridor investments on every corridor, but these were for these special sort of interventions and enhancements. All 20 of those corridors, which I will make sure you get the list, they were visited over the last few months, over the summer really, and they were all picked because they have a community partner that is responsible for sort of their maintenance, their management. Most of them are contracted through Commerce, and so that was one of the requirements, as well as just making places that are like destinations that have a lot of businesses. So we met over the summer with those business groups or community group. It's a CDC, a bit different, they're different in every place. And when we did the audits, like when Ground Reconsidered we walked with that organization through and really made sure, got their input on what works where, what are some of the history, things like that. And so they're very much a part of the plan. So I understand that, months pass and some things change and council members are like, oh, well, what about this place? What about this place? We are open to adding corridors to this bill, which would allow those places to potentially install things quicker without getting individual ordinances. We would urge that we don't subtract anything from this bill because we have already walked and talked with these communities who are, prepared and planning to be part of this celebration. But we have, we are open to extending by, I think there's some interest in extending by a block here or there, or maybe adding another place where maybe that organization has their own plans to put out some of this commemorative beautification stuff, planters, banners, benches, that sort of thing. I also know there's some concern about benches, and I want to be clear that, again, we're working closely with the community to put benches where and if they belong and not otherwise. Okay, sure.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilmember Ahmad.
Chair, this is exciting to have beautification across the city. These are going to be permanent installations that'll live beyond 2026, right?
Correct.
And so the upkeep and all of that would be part of the streets department or the nonprofit who's,
We are signing MOUs with the nonprofit to help the streets department with the upkeep.
okay. And what sort of installations are we talking about outside of the benches? Is it like planters with flowers? Are we doing any sculptures or anything like, I recall hearing some sort of a sculpture thing. I can't remember what it was, but is that included in this?
Yeah,
Are you talking about the Liberty Bells that are
Yes, yes.
part of the 250th? I forget how many we're getting.
around 20, 21 or 22 around the city, those Liberty Bells. So there's a
Yes.
program called Bells Across PA.
Yes.
And we are taking advantage of that, installing these bells. They will be custom painted for each community. They don't line up exactly with our corridors because they're going in some other key destinations around the city too. So that is not part of what
Of
you're
this.
passing today, but it's still going forward.
So
yes.
outside of benches and planters, what else are you envisioning
We're
to
doing
be?
bike racks and banners
Okay.
as part of the neighborhood beautification process.
And then finally, we have testimony from folks about they love it, but potentially see lack of coordination being an issue, not necessarily with the partner you have, but others, I guess, in the vicinity. So I don't know how much engagement there is to make sure they know what's coming and it's not going to occlude or disrupt them in any way.
Yeah. Okay, if you're hearing anything specific, I'd love to know offline who. We certainly, our intention is to work really collaboratively. We did take into consideration things like if there's construction projects happening during the time, we need to work around that. So that's why it's important. We have a pretty big group at the table to try to identify those issues. And again, we have long-standing relationships with these community organizations, so we hope they're coming to us. But if you're hearing something, Councilwoman,
Yeah,
please let us know.
email.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's always someone.
There.
All right, well, thank you so much. Good
Thank
luck
you.
with all of this. Thank you.
You're welcome, Council Member. Just for the record, we may be able to add to the corridors, correct? Just want to put that out there.
Yes, you
We
can
may
add.
be able to.
All right, I'm going to say this. You can add corridors to this thing, which allows improvements to be installed without, to be covered by this encroachment ordinance. Honestly, we could go citywide on that. I don't think you want to do that, but we could. You could add corridors to that. It doesn't guarantee that the investments will be made in those places, though if we can figure out how to do something additional, we will. But this is sort of the minimum, if that's right? Like we need to order the benches and the planters and the banners and the bike racks. We need to order those now, and we're asking to know that we will have permission to install them when the time comes.
So for something like this type of, I guess, street furniture, maybe this is a question for finance. So would you know if we add certain corridors, are we able, and say funding is always an issue with certain things, but as a district council member, we may be able to find some funds for certain things. Are we able to use some of the ITEF funding to enhance some of these corridors?
You would have to ask finance
Yeah.
to see whether ITEF funds can be then flexed over to Commerce Department to then purchase the materials.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yes, it would be a conversation. And I want to say, obviously, funding is an issue, but I do want to stress that timing will be an issue too. And so not saying it's open to the conversation, would love to do more, but we would have to kind of hustle to do the, to do the community outreach, to do it thoughtfully, to have the sort of landscape architects figure out where things go and all that. But maybe there's elements of this that could be done in other places, sure.
Thank
So,
you.
yes.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Brooks.
Kind of on the same line, so to the potential to add a location, suppose there's a location that's already being considered by a partnering organization, is there plans to, what's the word I want to use? Collaborate on what it looks like if there's an existing project that's pending within the scope, will they all look the same? Put it that, like, I don't,
Oh, what we're putting in now?
what we're putting in, if a location is not on there that is a corridor that could possibly be considered, that's already in movement, will it be coordinated with, as part of these sites moving forward?
Right.
Like, because I'm pretty sure this project I have in mind is probably gonna be completed
Okay.
to blend in with what we're talking about. Will the design be included in that conversation if they're not listed, or it would just be like a random?
I think there is a possibility of that. I like where I think what you're saying is like if somebody else that's not on this list is doing a project, can they get the same commemorative bench that we're doing for this project? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
I know that's not a great answer on the
I'm not a
record.
district council person, but I mean, it's a site that
I think that's a
it's
conversation
gonna
we
be a
could have.
tourist
yeah.
attraction. People are gonna be coming. Money is already invested by other people to make this happen. I was just wondering, this is the word, is it gonna be uniform
Yeah.
with the other things
What we're
that we're doing?
proposing here on these 20, right, are uniform with some custom details. The banners are going to have, sort of neighborhood identification, but with like a consistent theme. But it's a good question, and it's something like I'm very willing to look into. I'm very aware we have more than 20 strong destination
agree.
corridors in our city. This does not represent all of the great places of our city, but this was this is what we could focus on and get done for this project, and we really wanted to make sure we spread it out to every council district and every part of the city. But yeah, happy to talk to you about where you have in mind, or if other council members have other places in mind, happy to talk about that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions by members of the committee? Seeing none, I want to thank you both for your testimony. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on bill number 250887? Sorry, Mr. Pullen, please call the next witness to testify.
The next witness to testify is Ariel Ben Amos, founder of Streetbox PHL.
Good afternoon. Please state your name and begin with your testimony.
Yes, my name is Ariel Ben Amos, and for close to 10 years, I ran a small nonprofit program supporting citizen efforts to build pedestrian enhancements in the right-of-way. And I want to thank you all for considering this bill and this hearing. For most Philadelphians reading the bill, it's dull and arcane, this authorization of encroachments in the right-of-way. But those of us versed in the city's efforts to make streets safer know that these planned encroachments, planters, benches, lighting, and signage, are critical tools to achieve the goal of zero traffic deaths. Study after study show that such pedestrian enhancements have both safety and economic development benefits. So I'd like to say kudos to the city for investing in the safety of all Philadelphians from Wadsworth to Woodland Avenues. I'm here today asking you both to recommend this bill for passage, and also I'm asking that you amend it. My nonprofit program, Streetbox PHL, helped Bartram's Garden install a bench on Lindbergh Avenue. It cost 3 times as much to get that bench legally placed there, including stamped engineering drawings, survey, and all required for the right-of-way encroachment, as the actual cost of the bench. The bench was $850. The value of the engineering services was over $3,000. We helped the Ralston Center pay for insurance costs for hosting a bench outside of senior homes. We invested $2,000 to support 2 benches for 2 years. More recently, our years-long effort to build a small parklet for a North Philly nonprofit were kiboshed because of the insurance requirements the city of Philadelphia places on nonprofit partners looking to steward pedestrian enhancements in the right-of-way. These insurance requirements are necessary and understandable. Within a 5-year period, tort awards for lawsuits associated with the Streets Department were close to 1/3 of the city's total payout. However, they also make it harder for these neighborhoods blessed without well-funded bids or special services districts to bring these improvements to their corner. Some of our early published research found that nonprofits that built these interventions typically had 5 times the revenues of those that did not, and paid their staff twice as much. Recently, the University City District daylit the intersections of 43rd and Spruce, painting curb extensions, installing planters and flex posts, doing so in response to an active and organized community group. Not every neighborhood has an organization that could pay the insurance coverage needed if the adjoining property owners hadn't been able to indemnify the city on their own insurance plan. There are over 1,300 vacant lots adjacent to the city's high injury network. That's 1,300 intersections where community groups could bring more sweat equity and investment to help the city make these intersections safer, but can't because of insurance requirements. That's 50 intersections in the 1st District, 286 intersections in the 5th, and 95 intersections in the 8th District that could be stewarded by local communities given half a chance. The city is about to install planters, benches, and other encroachments in the right-of-way to make our city safer. In doing so, the city acknowledges that there are risks that have to be managed. If a community group is willing to do the work of organizing a neighbor and complying with existing pedestrian enhancement regulations, if a community group is willing to restrict their investments to those at the to match city specs and restrict their work to street segments adjacent to the high injury network, then surely the city can be good partners and shoulder a bit of the same risk that the city is already ready to take on to make these investments associated with this resolution. Surely we can make sure that all neighbors can steward their streets, not just in certain neighborhoods. So I'm asking you to please amend this bill to make it easier for Philadelphians across the city to help steward our streets and recommend it to the Committee of the Whole. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Could you just, for me, I'm just curious on what the cost of the insurance would be to some of these nonprofits that are looking to do some of this encroachment work?
So I know that University City District, which has a large portfolio of these, so it's unfair to call them out, but I have their number. They spend $5,000 a year on insuring the entirety of their street furniture portfolio. Sometimes, although it's not just the actual cost of the insurance, it's the fact that the insurance provider will refuse to provide that insurance coverage. So it may not be the extra $1,000 to $2,000 necessary on an annual basis, which still is a lot for small community groups. It's that the community group, the insurance provider is like, I'm not insuring this whatsoever. So the cost is an opportunity cost as much as a financial cost.
Thank you. And this is something that our city requires of community groups trying to beautify and enhance commercial corridors.
So if a community group were going to ask to propose to do the same exact thing that the city is proposing to do right now, it would be required to indemnify the city and have coverage that lists the city as a partner to that coverage. If the city is willing to take on the risk for these investments, and if the community group does everything the city wants to and even buys the same things that the city is going to purchase, and the city approves the design, it's unclear to me why we're requiring them to take on insurance if they're effectively doing what we wanted to do already.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you so much for your testimony, sir. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on bill number 250887? Seeing none. We will now transition into our public comment. Anyone here for public comment?
There are no names on the public comment list.
Thank you, Mr. Pullen. I would like to thank our witnesses who joined us today. Now we will end the public hearing and go into the public meeting. I note for the record that a quorum of the committee is present. The chair recognizes Councilmember Squilla for a motion on the amendment to bill number 250887.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer an amendment to bill number 250887. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of the committee. I move that the amendment to bill number 250887 be adopted.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded that the amendment to bill number 250887 be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries, and the amendment to bill number 250887 has been adopted. The chair recognizes Councilmember Squilla for a motion on bills numbers 240873, 250830, 250835, and 250888. No, this I don't have them. Yes, so for the record, we will be going back. So we offered the amendment to 887, rather. The chair recognizes Councilmember Squilla for a motion on 250830.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I offer an amendment to bill number 250830. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of the committee. I move that the amendment to bill number 250830 be adopted.
Thank you. That motion has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and bill number 250830 has been amended. So again, the chair recognizes Councilmember Squilla for a motion on bills number 240873, 250830 as amended, 250835, and 250887 as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the bills number 240873, 250830 as amended, 250835, and 250887 as amended be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended. I submit the first reading of this bill to the next session of council.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded that bills number 240873, 250830 as amended, 250835, and 250887 as amended be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of these bills at the next session of council. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. In the opinion of the chair, bill numbers 240873, 250830 as amended, 250835, and 250887 as amended will be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation with a further request that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading at the next session of council. Are there any final remarks from members of the committee? Seeing none, this concludes the business before the Committee on Streets and Services today. Thank you so much for your attendance.